Hi everyone, my name is Marisa Mack, and I'm a thief. I steal time, moments in time. Nobody minds, but just the basic. Let's just say I'm a photographer because that's what I do. Um, Speaking about photography, honestly, to me, defeat the purpose of photography because of the whole point of the picture and whatnot and blah blah blah. But sometimes one needs to actually have a dialogue and put oneself out there to see if there's common ground or if there's any impact as to what they do. And honest to God, I'm not certain as to my impact. At this point in my career, I'm really striving to be the best that I can be based on my own um, opinion of what the good or better or best is. Bearing in mind it's all subjective. Now, the things that are universal all about what I do, it's a business. And with every business, the whole point of being in a business is to make money. My first motivation towards self-financial governance by way of photography was, okay, this year I'm going to be able to leave my job and have a working, living wage. And I find in Toronto, we can go on and on about the quality of pictures, the quality and what you do, but making money from what you do, I think, is something that people need to hear about in Toronto, to be honest, because it's very difficult. It's not easy to make money. And first, one of the biggest misconceptions people have is you should go out there and present as professional to be considered professional. So it's sort of defeat the purpose, because if you haven't any money, then you can't spend money on advertising, and if you haven't any work, you can't show anything. So you begin with the body of work, your errors, your mistakes. And a lot of people do, people can absolutely argue on technique. Oh, how good are you, what lighting you use, that don't look good. A lot of photography, there are some basics, but a lot when it comes to photography is subjective and relative. So you've got to bear that in mind. Now, rather than technique, learn your machine. That's the first thing. Because check it out. I mean, if I go and I take a photograph, and it's properly done, it's well composed, but the subject is blah. It's like you just recreate reality that I saw. There's a notice sign I see there. Take a picture of that notice sign, out of context. You took a good picture, but so a big thing about, I think one of the most important thing you should strive towards as a photographer or storyteller is the story. Don't beg the question, leave it out there open to other people's opinion, because it can be so multifaceted. So the story. Next thing is learning your equipment. Forget style, forget anything. Once you learn your equipment, you will know what to do with it to get the results you want. A lot of people look at, I see this picture, let me figure out Photoshop, let me figure out this, let me figure out my camera. That should become a surrogate, like a parasitic limb on your body, if you really want to be the best you can be at this game. You cannot pick up photography in this way and be like, all right, I do this on the weekend and you're a hobbyist. If you're not doing this every single day, eating, breathing shit in the fucking dish, right? Yeah, you got this chance. I'm sorry, it's not going to work. This is like the Olympics, and you are the judge of yourself. Do you know what I mean? This is like any kind of climax at any great endeavor. It's a life work. So my biggest advice would be, one, practice, practice, practice. And if you think you're good, that's the problem. Keep practicing. Next thing, your camera has to become your second arm, an appendage, a limb. And when you master that, it's like into the difference between driving a car and drifting. They're both the same car, same tires. What you do with it, one have impact, one is flat. So you can just drive your car, or you can learn to drift. And that's how I approach photography. Because I think I have the responsibility to put something out there that is thought-provoking, interesting, entertaining, have impactful information. And I have to cover these bases. So before I even think about money, I think about these things. The next thing is when you go for jobs, or people have a tendency to change your style. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, if I'm a little, if I've got some, okay, I'm willing to be mutable and change based on what you want. I'm sorry, the days of the customer is always right is long dead, okay? The customer is not always right. So what you have to do not be afraid to have a style and a brand that you stick to politely. Don't be arrogant or an asshole, but you can say, listen, This is how I see the world. This is how I interpret my art. Do you know what I mean? And this is kind of like my signature. To lose it, I don't want to start recreating or learning myself. You're comfortable with the signature. If it looks good to you, feels good to you, don't change it. Then don't be afraid to stand by it. You will become known by it later if you keep steadfastly doing what you're doing, which is learning your craft and your equipment. And also, the last thing I would give a piece of advice is learning your place in photography. What kind of photographer you are, and more importantly, what sort of photographer you're not. Do you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to leave something for someone else. Just because you got a camera, just don't be like, oh, let me go and try some product photography. No, honey. If you're not good at it, do not do it. Stick with what you know. Yeah, be a jack of all trades for knowledge, but there must be a few things in photography that you are defined by. So I would think making your mark is very important. That's before branding, it's making your mark. And I think I'm doing that. Another big thing people think about that they should have is website. I have made so much money and run so much business from simply using Instagram, not as a social network mechanism, but a business, like my website. And in today's world, you have to look at trends. When you are on Instagram, what people do when in between life, Instagram's who's there. So you have a bigger chance of being seen by this person who's getting married and want to have a wedding photographer. Then you have a better chance of him clicking and seeing you in Explore or one of the feeds than having to click your website, go to your website, check it out. You know what I mean? I'm saying it helps, but I think a website in general as a photographer should come later in your business. When your clients begin to demand high volume, when you have money that is paying for it. Do you know what I mean? So if you're straining and you're thinking, if only I spend money on advertising, I would be able to have more income or reach my demographic. Problem is they don't know who you are. So you have to keep monetizing. So if you're not monetizing on Google at the maximum to come up on every search, and with the body of work to back you up and the reputation, sorry, you're wasting money. So you have to put yourself in a position where your work speaks for itself. And the easiest way to do it is Instagram or any other free social media that are out there. You can use it to your benefit. You just keep your page, make sure your page have a flow, a feel to it. You can't be sporadic. Do you know what I mean? You just tell a story and you can actually branch out from that. Another thing is pricing your work. You know how much it takes to get from point A to point B, and you know what you need at the end of the month, and you also know your skill level. So I think it's open, but don't be afraid to set a price for your work. I notice a lot of photographers in Toronto work for free, and that is not good. These equipments are not cheap. To get good quality equipment and a great computer and some good Photoshop equipment, it's not cheap. So you should not be running your business at a loss unless if you're learning at a learning point in your career, hello darling, and the job may not have financial benefit, but tutorial benefit can be derived therein. For example, when I first started off as a photographer, many of the jobs that I did were volunteer and free because I was training, I was learning, and that also took the pressure off me so I can make mistakes and not be beholden to a client. So that's a very important, I think, for a year of that, if your own self-imposed internship by volunteering, being part of your community, and you can also get tax breaks from it. You can monitor. I did that. I monetized mine. Do you know what I mean? So you can also get tax break from that, and also experience credit from that. So there's a lot. So don't just think just because someone doesn't have money to give you as an up-and-coming photographer, there's not something you can benefit from that. And these are decisions that you have to make. These are decisions I made, and to this day, I would never say that I am where I want to be as a photographer because I am still evolving. But I am able to make a living wage. I'm able to sustain and be proud of myself for the first time in my life. I don't have to worry about a boss. And it took at least 6 years from the steps that I've just described to where I'm at now, and I'm still going to pick up momentum. So patience, diligence, a sense of who you are and who you're not, and a plan. Pretty much, that's it.
Anyone got questions?
Anybody get questions?
Do you do anything else that's outside of photography that you feel is like, this is like my happy place?
I'm really good at sex. I live my happy place. I'm actually joking, no. What I do outside photography, I think, is I am absolutely consumed with the human condition. So I spend a lot of time in human behavioral courses, understanding body language, things really cues, social cues, a lot of cultural nuances and differentiation that helps me deal with clients on the worldwide scale better. Like I know how to approach a Japanese client now. I know what's considered rude in Japan. I know what's considered vulgar in India. I don't know everything, but from a photographer, you know what I mean? I know where to place, who's the line of succession, how people see things. And so I think a lot to do with photography, it's understanding the person you're dealing with and what they want out of it. For example, I can come to you and take a picture of you. This is something I do in my photography that actually I think resonate with my clients. I can take a picture of you and I can decide it's a beautiful picture. And I can decide to post it. And I can decide at least my standard of beauty, and then I can decide I'm fucking awesome. However, you don't like that side of your face. You don't feel very good when you see that picture. I wanted to present that picture in a way, but you wanted to feel a certain way and be presented a certain way, and I didn't ask your permission. And a lot of photographers don't, because they think they know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing unless you tell me what you want and we come to an agreement. Do you know what I mean? And that, I think that is the most critical service I offer anyone who works with me on a one-on-one basis or professional level. I don't come in here to get the job done. I come in to get to know you. That's my job. Do you know me? That's how I see photography. And for outside things, I do dabble in abstract art. So sex and art. What about you? Any questions?
How did you get your start in photography? What was like your first picture that you took and you were like, this is it?
Okay, my first picture I took, and this was how I started photography. My father was a pilot and a single parent, meaning I went to boarding school in England for most of my life, but during the vacation period, rather than pay a babysitter back in the day before 9/11, you can sit on the back of your father on a plane and you're going around the world with him. And I would come back to boarding school, being this immigrant child from Trinidad, with all these stuck-up little, rich kids who I have nothing in common with. I have nothing to tell them. First, I had a thick accent, which I still do and maintain. So I couldn't really convey the things I saw as I traveled the world with my father. And I started to get terribly shy and terribly depressed. And my dad, I started to write a lot. But my writing, my language was so advanced for my age because I read a lot that I still was unable to connect. And in my depression, one of my father's friends came by and said, perhaps we should give her a camera. I looked out the window of that 767 on the next flight, and I was hooked.
You still have that picture?
Yeah. I still have the picture, and I'll send it to you. Okay? And I was hooked. I was able to now have friends come around and see what I saw and see the world through my eye, and I thought it was a great feeling. And being from the Caribbean background, where I shouldn't say art is not encouraged. Art had been put on the back burner because of other issues we had to deal with. So now, having an artistic, because I do approach photography from an artistic point of view. So having a mother who cannot abide the thought of a picture without a human subject in it had no value for her. Like for a Trinidadian woman coming from the rural country of Trinidad and Tobago, if I were to send her, give her a picture of a mountain, she just asked me if it should be like an almanac or something. She don't understand. She does not understand that. So my mom saw the world in relation to people and herself. So getting other type of photography. So she taught me that there are people in this world that appreciate different things photographically. Because I would do, oh my God, look at this beautiful picture I got of this cloud. And everybody would be like, and I didn't see a market for it, but I didn't give up. I started to realize that, okay, if she likes people and she likes herself, I would present her with the human condition so she can have an emotional experience with me. So, when it comes to going out there and working, I do not whine. Hello. I never complained. I never let them see me sweating. I never let the boys know I'm competing with them, and I never let the men think it's a man's world. And I do not ever, ever treat my blackness as if it's an affliction, or my femininity like an affliction. I make no excuses for it. I appear indifferent to it because it's not the issue, and it will never be the issue. So take my uterus out of your conversation, okay? Tuck your little pee-pee in and understand. I maybe just be better than you. That's pretty much all I see. Hello.
Yeah, we found a card in another restaurant, and you mentioned in the part, like the little get-together that you guys are gonna have next door, so we feel like checking it out. Yeah. Awesome, thank you.
Oh, I think I forgot to cover marketing. Don't be afraid to market whatever you have. There is no shaming it. It's a numbers game. Do you know how much snow I eat every day? I swear to God, I have to go in the bathroom, smoke weed, and build my self-esteem every fucking day. And trust me, that's not indica. We're talking sativa now. We need to build ourselves up, right? Do you know how many no's I hear every single day? So don't ever be. You have to be a hustler. There's no if, but don't care what the business is. You've got to be an absolute hustler. No shame in your game. Cry, but no shame in your game. Do you know what I mean? And if you have an objective, please have a plan B and a plan C. If you don't buy, I can use your advertising. If I can't use your advertising, then maybe I'll use you later as a contact. Figure that shit out quick. And always be willing to give something for what you want. I mean, I'm talking, the bits. I'm just talking mentally, cerebrally. Try to always ascertain what someone wants. You know what I mean? And if you want something, do not beat around the bush. Don't play coy. I get to the point for what I want. Because people hate to feel played or worked. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I want to work for you. I want this opportunity, but I'm willing to give you 3 months free work for me. So I'm just using an example. So then you can figure out if you would want to work with me moving forward. Do you know what I mean? I'm willing to take all the works all your photographer can take. I'm willing to fly to where they can go on a short notice. And I'm not going to take any pay, but at the end of this, the contract that I signed, I'm not leaving my house for less than 10 grand. So I'm able to actually make, as I planned this out from a long time ago. I'm like, okay, if I can't get into this club, I cannot get into this club. I'm not going to sit here and cry. I'm going to offer my services for free. And it was a desperate move, but it paid off. Because after that desperate move, I worked so hard to have my portfolio so proper that the photographers they were paying were coming up to me asking me like, can you help me out? Can you do this? Can you do that? And before you knew it, I was able to parlay that into like, no man, you signed in this contract. And when I have clients that are commercial, I make sure I really, really charge them. They like it. They feel good about it. So then I can have the time and the money to volunteer in my community. So that's pretty much it. But man.
Any other questions?
Are you creatively satisfied at the moment?
Creatively, no, because I am in competition with creation. Because I try to manipulate what creation has done every time I take a picture. So creatively, no, I don't think I'm satisfied, because if I were, I would have a Photoshop. Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying? I'm always tweaking. I'm always trying to provoke or push the boundaries of reality. I never want to distort reality or take away from it. But creatively, that's kind of weird. Because I see myself as a reproducer. There's some creativity in that, but not really, is there? What do you think? I mean, there's art, but is there creativity?
I mean, what I mean by that is that like, when you take a photo, are you happy with
No, I'm never happy. Ever. And the day I'm happy when I took a photo, I would have taken the photo I've been chasing my whole life, and I would retire and do something
I was
else.
actually going to ask that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you've only had the opportunity to take one last photograph.
Yeah, the day I take a photograph that makes me feel like I have achieved, because what I'm chasing is my perfect idea of a photograph. Mm-hmm. I'm not chasing money, I'm not chasing fame, I'm not chasing the next photographer in front of me or whatever. I'm chasing that perfect image that meets my standard of perfection, artistically, skill on the skill level, tones, framing, focus, everything. And also the most important component, emotion, right? So the day I am able to capture, every photographer have one of their photograph, like that McCurry from National Geographic, the girl with the eyes.
Right.
That's his moment. He has that photograph. And
I feel like maybe that's our moment. We like that photograph. Maybe for him, it's a different photograph.
you know what? That could actually be right, because what I have noticed as a photographer, I would take a photograph and I would decide this is the most amazing photograph of all of the set that I've taken, and I would put them out. And funny, the one that I love the most would get the least amount of response, and I'd be so fucking pissy about it. but it forces me to realize that I cannot see the world in relation to me.
Right.
It's limiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, like, because I also do spoken word, and sometimes when, like, there's certain poems that people always request, and they think it's your best poem, and you personally, it's like, it's an alright poem, because, I guess it resonates.
Does it change your feeling about the body of work that is high? Does it then actually impact how you feel about it and replace it? Does it become a favorite now based on the popular request?
No, not really. No, I'm very selfish now. Like, I consider anything.
Oh, are you selfish or self-aware? What do you mean selfish?
Like, my work is about me first and what others feel second.
So let me put it this way. Let me see if I understand it. Your work is like you fucking shit it. You get it out. Great style, but then y'all can figure it out. I'm done with this shit. Is that it? I got this shit out. It's beautiful. I put it in a pile that y'all can go through it, but I'm good. That's it. I'm just saying, you got it out. You're like, oh, you got it out the system. It's out the system with great effort, but then it's a pile on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, because like, it's a way for me to like work things out. It's like, yeah, I guess.
You are not selfish.
You're
not selfish. Because if you're selfish, you will not have the notion to do something that involves sharing. Do you know what I mean? I think you're introspective. I think you're learning. You're in the incubation period. There's a lot going on. You're creating, so you can't even connect with people, and you don't want to, and that's okay. But you're not selfish. Because if you were selfish, you keep your thoughts to yourself.
Is that like continuous, like...
Yeah. You're very generous, to be honest.
Form of like self-preservation. Like
yeah.
The thing that you do, it's for yourself, and it works for you, and it resonates with you, and it helps you work through things, but it also like translates to other people, and other people can resonate with it in different ways, and it's cool, but it's served its purpose, because it works for you, and it works for the world as well.
Right. But one thing I'm going to warn you about, though, when it comes to your art, never. You can be angry, you can have any kind, you can be a little disappointed, you can be a little, whatever, bitchy, whatever you guys do. Never be indifferent, and never solicit indifference from the audience. That's a kiss of death. If you'd much rather somebody walk up to you and say, that was a horrible poem, I didn't like it, it made me cry, than somebody to be like, laugh like it had no impact. So I think for me, even as a photographer, we're in art, for me, indifference to what I do, I want to kill you. Freaking cow, like, are you serious? I am so important. I'm just joking. But that's what the thought comes in your head. Like, I talk unfiltered. Like, when you feel somebody, like, like rock you with some indifference, you're like, no, man, you have to build yourself up right away. I'm fabulous. No. Yeah, so as artists and business people, don't be indifferent, and look for indifference in your customers or your demographic eye, and seek out why that is so. Because I have my way of engaging with my people. For example, when someone liked a photograph that I didn't think I liked that much, and it gets so much love, I make it my business to find out what about the photograph resonate with my audience. And I start taking notes, because then I start learning more about myself. Do you know what I mean? And when people interpret your work and they see like a lot of like different facets to you, you start seeing it, you're like, wow. And then you start thinking, if I am to judge myself, and judgment is to be impartial, but I know me better than everybody else, I'm not a good very judge of myself, am I? Do you know? So it's up to the audience. So, yeah.
Yeah, just one more question. Like right now, I'm in a place where I feel very stuck, where I'm not able to like see anything. I don't know why that is, but probably because of storyboard and all of that combined. But like when you find yourself like stuck and unable to create anything that you like or unable to create, period.
Do you want the nice answer or the truth?
Do I start?
You want the nice answer or the truth?
I want what you can give me.
All right, good, I like that.
Yeah.
If your brain, okay, if you're eating and you're home and you're hungry and you're eating and you're full, what do?
If I can't eat.
If you're eating a plate of food and you're full, you're physically full, you
Right.
can't eat anymore at that moment.
I
Does
stop.
that mean you're not going to eat in your life again?
No, I stop eating.
But you
for
stop
the
eating,
moment.
right? Because your body needs to digest, isn't it?
Right,
And
right.
you need to process and do that normal stuff that your body do. Well, mentally you need to do that. So when there's an indication that you feel stuck, you're pushing yourself. No, I need to go forward, go where? Your body is telling you, we need to process. Your creativity is telling you, we need to incubate, process, figure out what all the stimuli and data we take up. And that's a very important process in the artistic process. That nothingness, that stillness, that stagnance. It's where you stop and process. You know what I'm saying? It's very critical. It's very important. It's not a bad thing. If it becomes depression and a permanence and a constant, then that's a problem. But that feeling of forcing yourself into creativity is the worst thing you can do. Because that stopping, that giving, putting it down for a bit, is very important to your craft. Trust me. Do you know what I mean? It's you being an artist. It's just you have to work with data, and data has to process and make sense to you. Do you understand? So that minute you need me time. You probably need a lot of me time too, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you're a processor. But my advice to you is understand who you are in relation to the world. Personality type. Understand, not horoscope, just understand personality type, love language, who you are in relation to your art. And you would realize that you, also look at what's going on in your life. Are you around narcissists? Are you around people sucking your energy? Educate yourself to be able to identify these things that actually turn into stagnation and depression in your reality. Do you know what I mean? Are you getting enough from your partner or your loved one, your family? Are they giving you, are you visible? Are they seeing your endeavors? Are you encouraged? Are you valued? These are the things that keep you stagnated. And your happiness is your own responsibility. And I'll tell you one thing, if you deal with narcissists, because artists are codependent by nature, okay? And they deal with a lot of narcissists. You have to learn how to deal with narcissism, especially when you're trying to achieve something that is predicated on somebody else's gratification. A narcissist will suck that from you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to understand quickly, who am I dealing with my audience? If I come up to you in the guise of your friend, and the first thing I have to point out on the exploit is a weakness you told me or I know in your art. I'm a fucking narcissist. You have to be able to say, I am okay with your perception of me. And keep it moving. You have to start in this world of business people. You have to learn how to identify narcissists. Because that, I know it sounds like it doesn't make sense to the whole picture, but a big stagnation, especially in our community, is naysayers, narcissists, and people who mean you harm. And you know why that happens? People say, oh, haters. It's a general statement. You throw a statement like haters. What are haters? Let me explain to you what a hater is. A hater is that the symptom you see is not a hater. That's not a hater. That's the hater's behavior. What makes a hater behave certain way? Well, a hater is a narcissist. Okay? And the problem that hater have with you, indiscriminately, is not you particularly. Is that you are achieving something that hater relegated to it cannot be done. But it's not that when you're doing it, the hater realizes it's not that it couldn't be done, it's I couldn't do it. And they can't deal with that. And the world of art is filled with these people. They're bitter, they didn't make it, they're too shy to even try, but they sit there and they pull you, cut you down until you start saying, I'm stagnant. And I'm depressed, and I have no self-confidence about my art or my business. You know what I mean? So be fearless.
So many gems. I do this when I'm just like, yes, pitching a word.
Yeah, you know, because I had to do, because when she told me about coming and talk about photography, I felt like a fraud. Because my biggest hurdle to photography was dealing with narcissists and dealing with things in my life that made me so codependent that I wasn't able to be myself. So now that these things are gone and I had to go and get help, and I noticed, like, as I look around artists and businesswomen, entrepreneurs and stuff like that, always behind the scene is this person with this seed of doubt in your mind, and you can't understand why. Or your friends start acting weird, and relationships start falling apart. Well, ladies, I hope you wanted to hear about photography today. I'm hoping I'm giving you the language to be able to say, first of all, this person does not know they have a dysfunction. They don't know it. So don't ever, 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 ever confront them. If nothing good will come of it. You have to learn how to, what you call, rear up that shit. Meaning, neutralize it with indifference. Oh, why do you wear that dress today? I don't know, I feel really good about it. I don't like how it makes you look. But I like how it makes me look, so I trump you. Bye, girl. And kiss the bitch, go, be on your way. You know what I mean? You got to learn how to not taking these things as artists. It's important. No one talks about these things. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to neutralize this distraction to your mentality. And then there you'll be a better business person, a better student, a better person in general. Because you are not responsible for people's opinion of you. Ever.
All right. Yeah, okay. Your social media, like your website, your portfolio, like, you know, you got a podcast, like, what's going on? Like, let us know.
Well, I hardly have time to talk because I am building myself. So that's when I actually have a forum. I know I'm not the most eloquent. I don't give a shit. I know I have a lot of experience, and that's it. So for me to write a book and all that, I just don't have that, so I take pictures. You know what I mean? Like, I'll probably make a photo essay about it.
Really cool.
But it would be nice at some point. Like, I really would to have a few strong females that I can bounce ideas off, and hopefully someone hears it and it resonates. So it would be something I'd be open to, like, you know, like a podcast or something. But books, probably not.
So tell the people your IG and where they can find you.
Well, okay, absolutely. You can find me at Miss Mack at Instagram. My God, which I live at. That's my residence too, and zip code is implied. Yeah, that is where I live. I do all my business. Ms. Mack, Instagram. To the point where Instagram is like, you know, sliding in my DM trying to monetize, but it's cool. Yeah, I have successfully made my business from Instagram. I'm not using Instagram to push Instagram, but I'm saying as a social media outlet without having a website or any other form of advertising. And you would be surprised of what you can do if you're serious about what you do, what you guys do, which I totally should shout out. And the way you guys run your page, strictly business, is basically what I'm talking about. So if you want to know what I'm talking about in reference to running your business as separate entities on Instagram and still being professional, look at OG Smith's page. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all of this.
Thank you very much.